Okay, yo, what's up? So I don't really record these. Like I watch a lot of videos, but I don't really record them most of the times because I don't know why. Right, but this one I felt like I wanted to record because I also wanted to get my thoughts on some of these, just out there. I guess I don't know. Or 9 minutes in because I don't know. Am I going? I'm not going to do it. We'll see. Maybe I might add it on to the beginning. We'll see.
Caucasian suffering from that. So how can you sit here and say that this vaccine is killing people when this system
Hold on. We'll start back to when this dude started. I don't know why they voted her out as a red flag though. I wish they explained. That's the only one. My only problem with this is that I wish they explained, like, cut away real quick, ask 504 people, right? The first 504 people, why they decided to like vote or red flag it. Because when they red flag it, that means that majority didn't agree with what the person was talking about, I guess, and just wanted to change topics or something. So yeah, I did wish they did ask that of like 504 people real quick.
how you doing?
Only complaint.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, Root Scott. Good to meet you as well.
Love the jacket.
Thank you so much. So I really want to talk to you about this claim based on all of the other things that are causing disease, the chronic conditions that are in this country, all of the metabolic issues, and this is stemming from colonization. Putting smallpox blankets on indigenous cultures, sterilizing people in Puerto Rico, Honduras, all of these different things that have happened. And if you look at Africa, oh, by the way, Bill Gates did say something interesting. The next war will be fought with biological warfare. And I think that was raising eyebrows, especially when you look at the Kissinger report, right? For those of you who don't know about the Kissinger report, it's all about pretty much reducing the population of the planet. So I don't know how you can make this claim and really defend vaccines in the nature and the world that we're living in, where we are actually going.
For this, before I started recording and had to use the bathroom, I said bro was kind of looking at it from like he was looking at it from like the bad human side of it instead of the vaccine side of it, where the vaccine is meant to help people, which he just kind of looked at all the negatives, right? There are a lot of negatives, but there's also a lot of positives. So that's basically what I said. What we got right here.
Away from nature, and the further we get away from nature, the more diseases we will see. So, I'm very passionate about this, and I want to be able
Also, hold on.
to have like a real discussion with you, because yes, you're a medical doctor, but this is also a system that J.D. Rockefeller started, getting rid of all types of indigenous practices, and this land is stolen land. So when we're not even honoring the source, when we're not honoring the land, the ancestors.
I don't know why she did a red flag, but like, I was basically thinking like, it's in one of those like natural practices like bloodletting. I think you would consider bloodletting a natural practice because you're not using like any medicine, you're just letting blood out, right? And I'm pretty sure that wasn't good for you. I was also saying like, what's it called? What am I trying to say? That, what did I say? I mean, that, what's it called? That our ancestors, right, use those natural processes, but they didn't live past like 25. They didn't live very long with those natural processes. So you could be like, maybe if they use them natural processes now, right, while not having to worry about like other dangers. But I don't know. I don't know.
Intelligence, the real AI, when we're not even honoring these things and we're just supposed to trust science. No, I trust my scientists. I trust Dr. Sebi. I trust Dr. Arasatham. I trust Dr. Yaki, because this system is not for us. It's not built for people like me.
I don't know who those people are because not usually on that side of the internet, I guess. Right? But like, why would you trust them and not why trust them and not trust somebody else? Like, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you're still putting your trust in something, right? It's not like you're doing it yourself. You're trusting the word of another person, or you're trusting what's written down, or you're like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just you trusting something else, and you choosing not to trust another thing, right? So I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining it how I'm thinking of it, right? it's him just trusting one thing and not trusting another, right? I don't know.
It's not built for any of us, because even the opioid crisis, we saw a lot of Caucasians suffering from that. So how can you sit here and say that this vaccine is killing people when this system is currently killing people? When we even have to have an administration that
When a vaccine is killing people, what?
comes in now and says, "Ooh, we got to start looking at all of these different toxins in the food, in the medicine, in the soil." I don't think it's fair for us to take this vaccine when we're already being forced to take polluted food.
When you say take this vaccine, which vaccine are you talking about?
Well, really all of them. It should be a choice, because even when I was younger, I didn't take as many.
So he's kind of like, oh, choice. Also, on the food stuff, isn't it just so then you get like, do you want food to show up at the grocery store like with bugs on them? I don't know what the food stuff are, because yeah, they put preservatives in your food so then they last longer, right? I don't know. Like, are you not trusting farmers? Then I don't know.
Many vaccines as the children have to take now. These children are sicker. They're going through more metabolic issues. They're having mental health issues.
That could be for a lot of reasons. Because like, I feel like as we evolve as people, we have different struggles, right? In the past, you probably like ancestors, caveman times, you probably couldn't have mental problems, right? Because why would you have mental problems? You too busy looking for food. You're too busy looking for another day to survive. You're too busy trying to run away from that saber-toothed tiger that's trying to eat you, right? I feel like nowadays you don't have all that stress of having to find a way to survive for the next day. So your brain is like, okay, you don't need to survive. So now what do you want to do? And that stress of you like trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, because you don't have to worry about the next day, technically, right? Life threatening the next day, right? That's where probably stress and like mental stuff come from. But like, you could be like, kids nowadays have it, but like you could also be like it wasn't that bad before, right? Like 3 generations ago, 2 generations ago, they had like 50-cent chips. They were able to save up to buy a house and start a family and shit. And like 3 generations later, Gen Z, you can't do none of that shit because everything is expensive. Went through COVID, right? Went through wars, went through like a bunch of like natural disasters, right? And it doesn't help with like the current president who's just out there fucking shit up just because he can, because people voted for him, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that could lead to stress, and it's not like, oh, you took a vaccine that led you to being that made you to having stress, which also leads to having mental problems, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah,
And now I don't think it's just the vaccine. It's the
okay.
system that's perpetuating this type of lifestyle. Yes, that child who was even in the hospital under those fluorescent lights, I'm not surprised that they had a seizure before, because this is an environment that is not conducive to life. This thing that I'm wearing on my chest is called an ankh. Y'all replaced this. Y'all replaced our cultures. This life representing thing, you replace it with death.
See, you're like, you could, I don't know, bro. I feel like you're trusting in something, right? But I don't trust in that thing. So does that mean that you're wrong? Like, you could believe in that, and right, you could be 100% sure. It could be like a placebo effect or whatever, right? You could 100% believe that that thing is actually working. But me as a skeptic, I feel like that doesn't work, right? Like, I actually believe there's aliens out there. But like, if you didn't believe there was aliens out there because you never seen them, I'd be like, okay, that's true. We've never seen aliens, but I believe there's aliens out there because of how vast the universe is, right? There's one planet somewhere. Like, what's the chance of us, right, having life? It was like point, like a very little chance. I don't know the actual percentage, but it's like a very little chance of us being alive right now, right? Because of evolution and all of that. So you're gonna tell me in all those planets out there, and like all the universes and all the places we can't even reach in in like outer space and all of that, that there's not gonna be one other place of life, right? It's kind of that thing, right? Like, you're believing one thing and I'm believing another. They could both be true, but there's no real proof, I guess you would say, to say that yours is right and mine is wrong. Because it's not like vaccines don't help people; they do help people. Your thing with natural practices, some of them could be useful, or some of them could be helpful to people. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of that could just be proven with science, but you might be like, I don't believe in your science, so.
Culture. This is not a healthcare system, it's a sick care system. And honestly, I cannot sit here in good faith and not represent all of the people who have come before me.
Yeah, absolutely. I respect that. I came to the United.
Bro, he is not going to get a chance to. This is why I know he was talking a lot and was like saying a bunch of stuff, right? That a bunch of them probably didn't agree with, right? That's why there's a bunch of red flags. But I just wish they would like. Why? So why did you put your red flag up so fast? But then they would have to take them aside. I don't know.
United States as an immigrant living on welfare. So I got put into this same system that you're describing. It's a shitty system. The world is changing in ways that make our lives more unhealthy. We're eating more processed food. We're exposed to more chemicals, usually as a result of products that we actually enjoy. So when I complimented you on that great jacket, when someone wears a specific pretty strap on their Apple Watch, there's chemicals in there. There's forever chemicals in there. So for every amazing thing that we have in society, there's been drawbacks. The good part about our society is that we're constantly monitoring those drawbacks and are trying to create solutions for our own problems. So when I think about our current healthcare system, where I think it needs to do better is it needs to focus more on prevention rather than cures. Agree or disagree?
1,000%. Yes, sir.
Do you know how we can do that?
Not through the vaccines, but one way we could do that is connecting more to nature. One way we could do that is making sure that we're not poisoning the food. One way.
Are pesticides and like preservatives poison though? I don't know. Because isn't vaccines to prevent stuff, right? That's why you take a vaccine. So then when you get the virus, I also heard that, like, I don't know if this is true, but like the vaccine has a little bit of the virus in it. So you usually get like a little sick, right? After taking the vaccine. So then it's like a control. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a control thing where you get a little bit of the vaccine or the virus in you, right? So then when you get it another time, your body could prepare to fight it against it more because it has to do with like white blood cells, right? I don't know if that's actually true or whatnot. I mean, I could probably look it up, but I'm not gonna.
We could do that is treating each other better with more respect and actually getting rid of these systems that are putting us against us, this divide and conquer, the media manipulation and all of this fear tactic.
Fear tactics. I mean, I feel like everything he's talking about is like get rid of greed, but greed is like, isn't that like a sin, right? It's a sin that humans can't get rid of. You can't get rid of greed. Everybody is greedy about something, right? You either greedy about money, or you either greedy about family, like you're greedy about something, right? You can't get rid of greed because having no greed means you want nothing. I don't know, because media manipulation, that all has to do with power. Why do you want power? Because you're greedy for power, right? Like greed is in a subcategory of power or whatever. No, greed is like the top and then power is like the bottom. And right, like you're greedy for power, right? So everything he's saying has to do with like human nature and not really like, I don't know, like true people should be less greedy and be more willing to like give away, but like that's greed. I don't know.
That was pushed during this vaccine COVID mumbo jumbo. Yeah. This was totally.
Do you think we should do all of it?
Okay, sorry, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please
Thank you.
return to your
Appreciate
seat.
that. Thank you.
At Cox, your internet
But
and
yeah,
mobile
I
price
feel
won't
like
change for 5
that-
years. That's 5 New Year's.
Like the person who's president right now, Trump, he's a greedy ass nigga. That's all he is. He's a greedy nigga who made it the president. I don't know how he got back to being president. After he got kicked out his first term, right, impeached towards the end of it or whatever. I don't even know if they dropped it. or whatever. I mean, I guess he put himself on the file thingy so he couldn't get like jail time or whatever. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hi,
Hello.
Doctor.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
How are you? Pleasure to meet you. So I'll let you know I'm Tom. I'm a police lieutenant from northern New Jersey.
Okay.
And what struck
Local.
me about your statement about body autonomy and children and the COVID vaccination. What would you say if I told you I had 3 daughters and my spouse and I had differing opinions on whether our children should be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine? And a judge orders that that vaccine be injected into my daughters. I'll give you a little bit of data first.
Okay.
And this was part of my reasoning with the
If the I mean, 2 parents, 1 parent wants it, you technically just got an outside opinion. It's not like both parents didn't want it for their kids, and then the court stepped in and was like, "You're doing it." I don't know if he's divorced or whatnot, but like if he is, and it's like 1 parent wants it, the other parent doesn't. The judge is like, I think this is good for your kids and for like everybody, so we're gonna order you guys to give it to you. We're gonna side with the mom who wanted it for her kids, right? So I feel like it depends on the situation. He hasn't said anything yet, so I'm gonna have to wait and see what he says. But yeah, also, I didn't get the COVID vaccine. Only reason like my dad or brother got it was because they needed to travel, right? My dad needed it for work because he works at a caretaker place, and my brother needed it to like travel to Boston for his college, right? I never needed to get it, so I still haven't gotten it. So it's not like I'm anti it or like pro it. I just never needed to get it, so I never got it. Will I ever get it? I don't know.
courts. Risk versus benefit.
It's not like I'm
correct?
anti it or anything, though.
From 2018
If I need it,
to
then I'll probably get it.
2023. If we trust the CDC, their numbers say the most deadly thing for our children, the number 1 deadly thing, do you happen to know what it is?
Guns.
Accidents. Not necessarily guns, but accidents. Do you know what the number 2? And I'm going from children from 10 to 14 during the height of the pandemic.
Second is suicide. COVID ranks 19th on the list of leading cause of death. I mean, of course, accidents would be number 1 because it's an accident. Like, it wasn't meant to happen. Suicide being number 2 is crazy. But that's like having to do with like, that's like start of high school. Well, that's end of middle, like 7th. That's like 7th, 8th middle school, right? And then to like start of high school, which could be like bowling areas, right? Where you kid could like get bullied in that time frame, right? So since it's only ages 10 to 14, I'm just guessing.
Well, a little bit before the pandemic as
A
well.
little bit before, so the numbers are a little bit bigger. The number 2 cause, suicide. Do you know where COVID is on that range of dangers?
Very low.
Very low. That population is about 21 million children in the United States. Between 2018 and 2023, there were about 4,000 to 7,000 accidents, about 1,000 suicides. Do you know how many deaths there were from COVID?
No, not offhand.
69.
I mean, that's 10 to 14. Isn't COVID like, I'm pretty sure COVID was for old people. So him using like 10 or 14 is like a weird number, right? Why not just use like 10 to 18, right? Or like 1 to 18, using that whole thing instead of like 10 to 14, which is like 4 years. When COVID's like symptoms were mostly like bad for old people or older people, right? Like, one of the reasons I didn't really need to get it or I haven't gotten it yet was because none of the symptoms were like, oh, it's going to be bad for your age group, right? Which I was still in high school at the time. So around 17, 16, 18. I don't know if I was 18 yet, but probably close 17, right? But yeah, none of the symptoms were like, oh yeah, like kids around this age, like around your age group are dying and you need to get this right now. No, it's like always older people. So I never was like, oh, these symptoms are like bad. Let me go get this right now.
In New Jersey, where I'm from, the height of the pandemic, do you know how many deaths there were? 0. Now, are you familiar with the VAERS database?
Yes.
So that's for adverse reactions to vaccinations.
Yes.
During that time frame, this is about 6 months out of that period of time, from December of 2020 to July of 2021. The VAERS database, which is the only database we have, there were 14,000 post-COVID vaccination deaths. So how, if you're looking
Okay, so there was 19,310 deaths, but was that ages 10 to 14? If it was 10 to 14, then I would be like, okay, then that has a correlation, right? Deaths not happening when nobody's taking vaccines, right? When it's just COVID, right? Ages 10 or 14, but then when they take the vaccine between ages 10 and 14, the number jumps up of deaths jumps up by a lot. Because he used 10 or 14 and then didn't use it right here, I feel like it leaves a big ass hole in his whole argument if his argument is that vaccines are bad, right? Because, like, what was the ages of older people, like 45 to like 80, 45 to 75, who died because of COVID, and how many of them died because of the vaccine and COVID? Or how many of them died because of the vaccine and how many of them died because of COVID? So, like, they had it and then they took the vaccine and then they died. I mean, I don't know. They didn't have it, they took the vaccine and then died, and then they just got COVID and then died, right? Like, this number doesn't mean anything to me. Not like it's not upsetting or like a bad number, but it doesn't mean anything to me because it doesn't say the age range, right? That's all.
at risk towards benefit is injecting a child, upholding what we call the Hippocratic Oath, right? We talk about the Hippocratic Oath and we extrapolate from that. One of the first things, it's not said in the Hippocratic Oath, but it's the first thing is to do no harm. Now, as a police officer, I took oath as well. Protect, serve, preserve life and property. In my line of work, there are times when I had to take a life to save one. I don't necessarily think that applies to you, Doctor.
It does not.
Maybe you can give your viewpoint, whether maybe you're for or against, a court ordering the children to be injected with something that there is no harm to. But now we're seeing actual harm with the vaccine. They didn't die from the disease. They're dying from the vaccine.
Yeah.
Once again, he didn't use the age ranges. And I feel like that he's also getting it wrong, right? It might not affect them now, but it could affect them later, right? It'll be like one of those things where, sure, they didn't get it now, they'll be fine now, but maybe later in the future, they'll need it. And because they got the vaccine now, their body will be prepared to fight that virus at an older age when it could be life-threatening. So maybe I should go get the vaccine. I'm dead.
So your point is very logical and you're very well researched, and I applaud that because most people will go off their feelings as opposed to looking at the data as you did. So I appreciate that. When you point out that there's been 69 deaths, you said?
Correct. Between
from the
that
CDC
time,
data.
if we trust it.
If we trust it. And then there was 13,000, 14,000 deaths?
14,000 according to the VAERS database.
Are you familiar with how the VAERS database works?
I am.
Do you know who can report to the VAERS database?
It's a voluntary report system,
By
so
who?
it's open.
By
It's
who?
open, either to patients, medical providers,
Loved
anyone.
ones, anyone. During a heated political time, during which people are very angry and are reporting things that do happen during a pandemic, isn't it possible that there's people reporting things that after we look at it and judge it off of the VAERS system, that it is in fact not shown to be causative, but in fact a coincidence or a correlation.
Welcome to Sunday at full throttle.
I didn't think of that was, but I still need the age ranges. Age range.
So yes, I would say that correlation doesn't equal causation, but I'll give you another data point to chew on. When I was a law enforcement officer, I saw people that were dying, and then when they were assessing the cause of death, they had a range of other morbidities. And just because they died with COVID, they didn't die from COVID. But getting back to the children, none of them did.
I think the reason why 0 children died is because we immunized so many, A. B, the fact that the court ordered you to do it, it's not really my place to judge, because you have 2 parents that have 2 decision-making capacities, and someone has to make a decision. I don't know what's right. I leave that to people who are smarter than me. I can talk about the science of it all. And when we look at the science, yes, COVID is a low-risk proposition for children, but it's not a 0 risk. When we look at the COVID vaccine, especially at the peak of that pandemic, when we were seeing hospitals overflooded, when we were losing people left and right, that was our sole way out of that pandemic. So the fact that 0 children died with the vaccination rate that we had, I suspect that the vaccine played a major role in making that happen.
All right, I'm sorry, we're out of time.
I'd love to go with that one.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video. Straight Arrow News is an app and website that is on a mission to raise the bar on...
That's right there. Like, 2 parents, there's a disagreement. You guys went to court to get that disagreement solved. Because you didn't win, that doesn't mean it's the court's fault. You guys couldn't come up to an agreement, so you needed an outside person to pick. So you got an outside person. You presented your facts. Her facts were stronger, so they went with hers.
News for partnering with us on this episode. Now let's get into it.
My next claim is that vaccine-acquired immunity is better than natural immunity.
I can see that, because you're basically controlling when you get the virus, right? And it's like you're getting the virus and you're getting a cure at the same time. So it's like you got bit by a poisonous snake, but you had the cure for the poison right next to you, so you could use it right away, rather than you're just out in nature and getting bit by a poisonous snake and you don't got the cure. And then you got to go and like hurry up to find a way to get the cure. And then you could either make it in time or you can't, and then you're either alive or you're not, right? I think that's what it is. That's a good analogy, right? W analogy? Question mark?
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Mike.
Pleasure.
Also, bro, if you've already went up there, don't get up again. I want to hear other people's opinions.
Pleasure. I want to say first,
Should I split this
mother of
into
6
twos?
children. My oldest 2 children do have vaccine.
I might split this into 2 parts. And like, at 45 minutes, I'll probably end it.
It's my 3rd child. He got a vaccine that the doctor said were safe that caused him brain issues for the rest of his life, and he has arrested hydrocephalus. I want to continue to say my youngest 3 children have no vaccines at all. They're perfectly fine. They're advanced. My son has permanent brain injury. So they say vaccine immunity is better, but as a child, when I got vaccines, I ended up with spinal meningitis.
Did she say she had? She said she had. Did she say she had 6 kids? Either way, she had. I'll go with 3. I don't know if she had 6. Either way, she had 3 kids. The oldest 2, I think it was 6. I'm not sure. The oldest 2 got vaccines. Nothing happened. The 3rd one got it, and something did happen. I mean, Does that mean the other two?
I had chicken pox twice. I almost died. But my 3 children that don't have any vaccines are perfectly fine. They've been traveled over 20 states during COVID. They've never got COVID. They've never got sick. Just a healthy diet, keeping them away from toxic foods, making sure their hygiene is good. Did you know that COVID has a patent and natural illnesses can't have patents? Did you know that
Can be patented.
every illness dated back to polio has a patent? The only thing that doesn't have a patent is the common cold. Did you know that Fauci funded medical schools to try to make the vaccine more, or not the vaccine, make COVID more deadly? Vaccine immunity is not really a thing because they cannot guarantee it makes anybody immune. There's more side effects from getting a vaccine than to not get a vaccine. The chances of getting illness not vaccinated versus to getting vaccines is a lot higher than somebody that
Yeah, because it's being delivered with a cure. I say cure quotation, right? Rather than it being like you just getting a dose of the poison raw.
doesn't eat toxic crap, practices good hygiene, they're more likely to get illness vaccinated versus not vaccinated. There's studies that show unvaccinated children are more healthier. In Japan, they don't start their vaccine schedule, I believe, until 2 years old. Autism's almost
Start at 2 months, not 2 years. More than 3% of Japanese children are diagnosed with autism spectrum. 2.8 estimated in the United States.
non-existent. And this is something that needs to be documented. Dated back to polio, everything has a patent except for the common cold. Mad cow disease, Spanish flu, COVID, everything has a patent. So that leads me to believe Big Pharma has been ruining our people for generations since the Great Depression, since, like he said, Rockefeller agreed to fund medical schools and the education system around 1920s.
I knew what kind of
Since
video
then,
this was
illnesses have
popping,
increased
man.
and increased and increased and increased and increased. And all we ever needed was to take care of ourselves and have good hygiene.
Something I think our healthcare system doesn't do enough is say, I don't know. And I have no idea about Dr. Fauci's patents. I don't know about patents on viruses. I'm a family medicine physician. That means I work in a clinic where people come in with either an acute complaint, something's going on with them, or they're coming in for a preventive physical where we can get ahead of things and make them healthier by preventing illness. In fact, if you think about where pharma's profits are, if pharma had to choose between preventing an illness or to treat an illness for the rest of someone's life, financially speaking, they'd probably want to just treat someone for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
But that's not what vaccines are. Vaccines prevent that illness. They prevent it from happening. And when you brought up the subject of autism, I think it's an important subject.
Are they red flagging because of what he said, or like?
And it's a subject that's
1998 incorrectly suggested a link between vaccinations and autism, so that the study was reviewed and retracted years later. Published it. All the paper were incorrect. Also, it's another thing of you're choosing to believe this and not choosing to believe that, right? When they could both be true or they could both be false, right? Also, click on see. I was gonna say something. I forgot.
It's been largely debunked by the
Not at
entire
all.
world community.
Also, I was gonna say with autism, if there is, bro, the problem with like some stuff is that like you're looking at a wide view, right? So you'll be like 2.8% higher, right? Which would be like, let's say like it'll be like 3% of the population, 3% of like 4 billion people is like a lot, but it's a little bit at the same time, right? So you're saying like out of 4 billion people, like 100, 200, maybe one, I don't know if it's a million. I feel like a million is kind of high. There'll be like 500,000 has autism, but that's out of like 4 billion people. the reason it feels big to you is because I feel like you can't imagine 4 billion people, right? You could think of the number, but you can't imagine it. So when they're like 2.8% higher, right? You could imagine like a little number, and then you're like, oh shit, my kid has it 2.8% higher. He was one of the kids who was ended up getting it. But you're not imagining your kid is like 2.8% higher of like 4 billion people. Like your kid just happened to be one of the unlucky ones who had autism out of 4 billion people, or however many people are on Earth, right? Which I feel like is a problem that's going on with her, right? Like maybe you got them symptoms, but you are like 0.0001% of 4 billion people who could possibly get them symptoms. Of course, it sucks that you got those symptoms, right? But like you're like a very little population of like the whole, like of everybody, right? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Not at all. I've seen studies that say otherwise, doctor. So I don't know if you're going off Rockefeller's medicine or are you going off of holistic medicine as well. As a scientific mind, you're supposed to observe everybody's
Also, it's like, bro, see the problem. There's another problem. The problem is you are reading somebody else's work and then you're using their work as your evidence. And then you're saying they're right, and the other person who wrote something of the opposite saying they're wrong. When how come your person that you read isn't wrong, but the one of the opposing view is right? Or you get what I mean, right? The opposing view is wrong, but the one you read is right. Why is yours right and theirs wrong when yours could be wrong and theirs could be right, or both of them could be wrong, or they both could be right? Like, I feel like people are using like one vision of like, what I've read is right and what you read and what you do is wrong, which isn't how that really works.
hypothesis, not just Rockefeller's medical schools. And that's why I feel like you've got most of your knowledge from, and maybe you should branch out into holistic medicine, because vaccines have never been the answer. They were created to separate us from spirituality and consciousness.
All the topic is highly complex. One study attempted to break it down by religious motivations. I don't even get what that means.
If you look at the ingredients, there's nothing healthy in vaccines. Formaldehyde, all types of stuff. So
Does Marlin vaccines contain only the ingredients that are needed for the vaccines to be safe, effective as possible? So like a little hit of the virus and like the stuff to cure that virus are probably what's in the vaccine, right? I feel like that's what would be in a vaccine. A little hit of the virus and then the cure to that virus, or the preventive stuff to that virus.
none of that prevents. Everybody that vaccines still get illnesses. I've never seen any prevention of anything.
Just because you get a vaccine doesn't mean you're going to be 100% never getting the disease, right? You could still get the disease. It just means you'll get, like, okay, let's say you got poisoned, right? But you took the cure before you got poisoned, right? So instead of you getting hallucination, foaming from the mouth, feeling like you're dying, getting a headache, or not getting a headache, take out getting a headache, right? All you get is like you get all those symptoms and then like you pass out and then wake up the next day and your body's all aching and right. But because you took the vaccine, all you get is a slight headache and you get like you're hungry and like your mouth is dry, right? The symptoms you got from taking the vaccine are better than the symptoms you wouldn't have gotten from not taking the vaccine or taking the poison cure, right? Because you took the poison cure ahead of time, your symptoms of blacking out, foaming from the mouth, waking up with pain, dizziness, all of that is just a slight headache and a dry mouth, right? Which is what I feel like the vaccine is. It doesn't keep you immune from the thing, but it makes the symptoms that you could get from it a lot less and a lot worse. No, a lot less worse than what you would have gotten if you didn't get the vaccine. If you get what I mean. I feel like that makes sense, right? Like it stops the bad from being really bad and limits the bad to like, okay, you even though it's an inconvenience, is not as bad as it could be. Because if you didn't take this, it could be like that, and that could mean death.
The prevention from vaccines comes from prevention of death and serious illness. And we've seen that when you study that, not just in the US by the Rockefeller system that you describe, one of the largest studies in the world surrounding vaccines and autism in children came from Denmark with over 500,000 children.
More than 650 born in Denmark between support that MMR vaccinations do not increase the risk of autism, does not trigger autism in susceptible children, not associated with a clustering of autism cases after vaccination. Yeah, and even if it did, right, it would be like 2.8%. I say 2.8, but like it's not really 2.8. It didn't, right? But like if it did, it would be like 2.8% more of the base. Like, so if it was like 2.8, it'd be like 5%. 5% of 650 is like, I don't know. I don't feel like doing math right now. You know what? Fuck it, bro. Let's see. 650 times 5%. It'll be like 32,500. So out of 650 kids, only 32,000 got autism, which seems like a big number, but compared to 650, is not that big of a number. But it's proven right here that it's not, right?
That is not a US system,
And
it's
I'm
not a
just using-
capitalist system,
I'm just
and
using
they
a
found
random
that there was
number.
no pattern.
That's not
So
true.
I'm
I've seen
trying
other
to
How you gonna tell him? See, bro, like how that's the problem. You read something and you said that's correct, but then he also read something and you're saying his is wrong. How is his wrong when you both read something from somebody else's work? You can't say what's wrong or right when you're not the one doing the research, right? Like, I say research as in going and doing like the studies yourself, or I guess, right? That's how that would work. So, itself as a free market capitalist economy with a strong social welfare safety net for its citizens. So I don't get how you could be like he's wrong when you both just read what was passed down from other people's work. You read something from somebody else and you took that as fact. He read something from somebody else and he took that as fact. You can't tell him he's wrong because he read something from somebody else who you disagree with when you read something from somebody else.
branch out as much as possible.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please
Thank you
return
so
to your
much.
seat.
I did see comments about the lady with the 6. That's a question for him to actually get in touch with a doctor without having to pay. That's funny. Buy a potentially rabid animal. Yeah, yeah. I wish I knew their reason why they voted. Like, they're saying their side, and then like right when he's about to debate it, a bunch of flags go up, or sometimes it just goes up on their side, and I'm like, okay, why did you decide to put your flag up right now? I wish it was like a little cutting. Yeah, getting the information that they're referencing wrong fast and quickly, so you can't. I feel like instead of them going on a monologue, it should be like more of a back and forth. So then you say something, and then I say like what I think about what you said, and then I say something, and then you think, and then you say what you think about what I said, right? I believe everything I read on Facebook. You saw a study when you know damn well the lady cannot do the medical study if she sure. Yeah, that was my problem with it too. Like, you can't tell him he's wrong when you both just read stuff from other people. He could be wrong, but you could also be wrong. So what you're saying probably isn't fact, and what he's saying probably isn't fact. Or you both could be right. Like, you don't know. So you just saying his is wrong because you read something else. isn't, no.
You teach
That's not how that
dance,
works.
but no one prepares you for the dance of scheduling dance. Bookings, rebookings, you need a partner that can keep time. Like Acuity Scheduling, the automated bookings tool that keeps you dancing in 4/4 time.
Yeah, I can't skip ads anymore. I wish I could, but YouTube just got rid of all the ways to actually skip ads. I'm dead.
Hello, how are you?
So I want to take a minute and put the ball back on your court because you mentioned herd immunity earlier, correct? Well, COVID was COVID one of the most contagious viruses we've had, pretty much?
I don't know, historically speaking, but it was definitely incredibly contagious.
Okay.
In fact, because it wasn't so deadly, was the reason why it was such a problem.
You want herd immunity. How would we achieve herd immunity if a virus is so contagious that wouldn't it spread across the population before we get it all vaccinated?
Not every vaccine can create herd immunity, but it can create herd protection. There's two different types of viruses that exist, and there's long incubation diseases and there's short incubation diseases. The simplest way I could explain it is how quickly you get sick after you're exposed to this infection. That's short incubation. So if it's fast, it's short incubation. If it's long, it's long incubation.
That would be like a cough?
Now, when you look at a disease like smallpox, for example, that's a long incubation illness. It means it gives your immune system a chance to create a response to it. So if you've been vaccinated, even if you've been vaccinated a long time ago, your body has the time to create protection even after it's been exposed. For short incubation illnesses like the common cold, influenza, COVID-19, it's very difficult to create complete protection. Because even though you've gotten some protection from getting the vaccine in a short period of time, that immunity wanes, and the long-term protection you get is only valuable against serious illness like death, hospitalization, etc. Okay. So you can't get perfect herd immunity for short incubation diseases.
Okay, thank you. So I guess my follow-up question is that there were certain groups of people who were exempt from getting the COVID vaccine, like if you were under a certain age or over a certain age, or if you had immunocompromised problems or whatever. So if those people can't get the vaccine, and those are the people who are most vulnerable, and a lot of people in this room believe, well, a lot of people's natural immunity is good enough to fight the disease, then like, why would we get the vaccine when the people that, you know, if they can't get it, then they could die anyways, you know?
Yeah, so the point of that is by getting the vaccine as a healthy person, I believe that's better than having natural immunity. And that doesn't mean that by getting the vaccine you have a better response or a stronger response. In fact, many times actually getting the disease will give you a better response. But do you know what you have to do in order to get that response?
Like get the virus in you?
Correct, which means you have to have all the potential risks of having severe disease, death, and largely we've forgotten how serious these viruses and bacteria are, where in the 20s, in the 50s, in the 80s, the deadliness of those diseases has been largely forgotten. One of the vaccines we give to children is called Haemophilus influenza. That causes meningitis. We don't see that anymore. The residents that were trained 20 years before me, every time they were in the emergency room, they learned how to do a spinal tap to diagnose this type of meningitis because of that bacteria. I've never learned how to do it. I'm not trained how to do it. Now we have to rely on interventional radiologists to do the procedure because of vaccines. So the reason why I say that vaccine immunity is better than natural immunity is because you don't have to survive the actual illness.
Okay. Well, that was my question.
Thank you.
They can get another guy.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
He's the first one to actually make it through without red flags, bro.
Hey, Dr. Mike.
Hold on. Okay, there's like 5 categories. We'll stop right here. One day, go to the next one. I'll stop.
Eleazar.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I was actually binge watching your videos
It's already like 48 minutes.
this week, thinking it was going to be you. I didn't think it was going to be you. You are very good faith, which I respect. Can I ask you a question in terms, because as a vaccine skeptic, the burden of proof is on you to show that vaccines do work. So what evidence would you have that vaccines actually work?
So vaccines, unlike other drugs, and there have been claims made about this in the wrong direction, where people say that vaccines aren't as tested as, let's say, pharmaceuticals. Because vaccines are given to healthy people to prevent disease, we test them an incredibly higher amount than pharmaceuticals. So that means pre-market testing before we bring them out. That means while we give them and after. We actually have a system called the Vaccine Safety Data Net that monitors millions of doses of the vaccines to see if a pattern gets elucidated through giving the vaccine. So we have all stages of the vaccine process monitored because we are trying to do our best to make sure that we help children and adults when they are due for a vaccine.
Okay, so you just, at the end, you said it pretty much sounds like you have to have a good intention. For example, we're not in the labs actually seeing the vaccine process or the clinical trials, so we have to just take the expert's word and trust it, right?
Well, when you fly...
But that's for everything. Bro, you gotta trust somebody. That's how society works, bro. If you trusted nobody, you would be off. There would be no rules or anything anywhere, bro. Like, yes, you have to trust. That's the part of being in a society. Or you would be living off by yourself in a corner of the world that nobody knows. And even then, I don't think you would be able to live by yourself. So, yes, bro. Is it hard trusting somebody's face? Or somebody you've never seen? Sure. But that's for everything. Is it not? Like, I gotta trust the farmer to not poison his food. So then when I go to Walmart and, like, buy certain vegetables, I don't die because that one farmer turned evil and decided to poison a bunch of food, right? Like, that's for everything, bro. I don't know. You gotta trust that the person who made your car didn't fuck up in one area that would make your car blow up if you drive it over a certain speed limit. Or like your car just has a rent. Like, I don't know, bro. You gotta trust people for everything. And I don't get why, like, I know it's health and whatnot, but like, you gotta trust people for everything. You gotta trust drivers next to you to know how to drive, so that you don't get in accidents. And even then, you still get in accidents because not everybody, like, whatever.
In a plane, you're not in the cockpit.
Right. So we put our faith in that. So you would say that we just have to put our faith in the experts, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So this would require, number one, a good intention. So they have a good intention to help people, to make their lives better, and also they have to be ethical. Is that correct?
Those are reasonable things, yeah.
Okay, so if they fall outside of the purview of those two criteria, would you say it is reasonable for us to be skeptical?
I think it's reasonable to be skeptical at any moment.
But taking those two things, if they violate either of those two, would it give someone else more justification to be against it?
Sure.
Okay, so when we look at the biggest developers and distributors and sellers of the vaccines, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all these big pharmaceutical companies, when we look at their track record, we see they have been deceptive. They've had, big settlements, billions and billions of dollars, fraud, misleading the public, concealing clinical trials that were against their favor from the public. So when we have to put our whole faith and trust in these people that have been through huge billions of dollars of settlements, and
yes, but you also got to put your faith into like an airplane driver, like a pilot. And there's been airplane crashes before. You got to put your faith into like other drivers, but there's been accidents before. Like, nigga, you got to put your faith into a lot of shit. You got to, like, bro, I don't get your point. Okay, they have some scandals, but like, there's also been a bunch of other shit that you need to put your trust in that also had scandals, right? Like, I don't know. Like, you gotta put your trust into whoever made this shirt is using something you are not allergic to, or like they didn't lie about what they made the shirt out of, right? So then when you buy this shirt and look at the back of the tag, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not allergic to this cotton, but I'm allergic to that cotton, right? So I could use this one. Like, bro, I don't get where you're going with this. Yes, there's bad eggs and bad apples everywhere, but you gotta still trust it and hope that the good is outweighing the bad, right? Like, bro, your question is getting nowhere, bro. Like, I don't know what he was thinking his question was gonna do. Because, like, you gotta trust in everyday life, even if you don't really want to. You could be the most untrusting person, but if you're the most untrusting person, then you can't use anything because you wouldn't trust it. that means you would be sleeping on the ground. And even then, you would have to trust that Earth doesn't cave in on you, or like that the creatures out there don't attack you in your sleep. So even then, you're trusting something. Where are you going with this, bro? You gotta trust your barber that he doesn't fuck up your hairline. I mean, not that his hairline's fucked up or anything, but you get what I'm trying to say, bro?
They have proven that they have been unethical. They have made more profit through the COVID times than ever before as well. Why should we trust them so lightly, taking into consideration the fact that we're not in the labs with them, taking the fact that they are profiting from our well-being? Why should we trust them so lightly?
It's not a blind trust. Who you're trusting is the independent reviewers that review the data that they put forward.
Okay, but is this political or is this science?
What?
Health is as much public health as it is individual health.
Okay, but would you say guys like Dr. Peter McCullough or Dr. Rich, would you say that they are probably not good experts that we should adhere to?
I don't know who those people are.
So they're very anti-vax, or they've provided solutions like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and they've stated.
I mean, if you choose to trust that person, then go ahead and trust them. That's where you decided to put your trust into, right? So when that trust works or doesn't work, that's on you because you decided to trust it, right? I don't know.
Over 200 peer-reviewed studies from different types of trials showing the efficacy of those kind of medications that are alternatives to COVID or the vaccine.
I think I've seen something about Blue Hoodie. Yeah. Yeah. I knew I caught that at the beginning. Gish Gallop at a doctor who doesn't have time to at a group respond. No, that's funny. Yeah. Nowhere in most cases. That's news. News to know. Does not cause AIDS. What the world looks like without. Yeah. I guess I don't know what the blue one. Whatever.
Vaccination, but what I'm kind of getting to is that we're supposed to trust this specific agenda. So Pfizer, WHO, which once again, if we look at the track record, they haven't had a great track record. So it sounds like to me it's more of a political thing instead of a science thing. When you guys say trust the science and trust the experts, you actually mean this group of experts. Because whenever big experts like our
Nigga, you are trusting that this chair won't collapse on you because somebody else checked the person who made the chair and said, okay, it's up to standard. Bro, this nigga's annoying. I want to skip. How much longer is this thing talking for? It's talking for like a dead minute. Fuck. Yo, niggas with the flag, put your flags up.
RFK, even if you want to say he's not a doctor, he's not licensed, but his friends, Peter McCullough, Dr. Rich, they are great experts. They've had some of the most reviewed studies in the medical field. I don't see why we have to.
Does reviewed mean correct though? Just because it was reviewed doesn't mean it's correct. What? Bro, he just said they've had one of the most reviewed cases, one of the most reviewed studies. But that doesn't mean it's correct. Reviewed means that people just went and looked at it, right? anybody could go and look at anything. So a bunch of people went and looked at something this dude wrote and said, okay, but he didn't confirm if it was correct or not. Bro, are you good?
To deny their science and their expertise and go with this set of people.
I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, you have to look at consensus. And when you look at consensus, not just the United States, you look at the WHO. This is a world organization. This is not a United States organization. In fact, we just pulled out of the WHO funding-wise. So this is the most unbiased you can get. Can you erase human bias from research? Absolutely not, because it's done by us, and humans are inherently biased. When you talk about Pfizer's past mistakes or whichever organization you want to choose from the pharma side of things, to be skeptical of them is so important. And the way that they've been lacking transparency for a long time, especially when it comes to pricing and the way that they've chosen their development of medications, I'm the first person to admit that that is valuable. But when we say Pfizer, where we say Purdue or one of these pharmaceuticals, there are people that are working there that are researchers that you're talking about. The shareholders, the people that are investing in those companies, are a different set of people. So when we get data from Pfizer and is brought to the advisory committee in the CDC or the FDA, these are independent bodies that are trying to verify through a peer review process if that is true. They're trying to do their best with the knowledge that we have. Will we have perfect answers? Will there be mess ups? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean you just throw everything out the way and say, hands up, we failed before, so we can't fail again.
I would agree that there's a difference between mistakes and deception. So deception is an intent. You're intending to have malice towards someone, right? You're intending to make more money by lying to the public. You're intending to make more money or more profit by not showing all the clinical studies that were conducted that show adverse reactions to the thing that you're
Yo, where's the last nigga with the flag, bro? Get this nigga off the stand.
forth. So that's where I would also...
Who do I want to guess is going to be the flag? I say this nigga. Or her.
make a delineation that there's mistakes, which we can all make, and I would also say science can make mistakes, but then there's this other section, which is an intention.
How do you judge intention?
That's the thing is, with these kind of companies, we have to assume
Oh, get the fuck off the stage, nigga.
good intention.
All right, sorry.
You gotta assume good intention for everything, bro. That's how the world works. If you assume bad intention about everything, you wouldn't be wearing anything that you're wearing. You wouldn't buy anything that you're buying. You wouldn't even trust money.
Been voted out by the majority.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Bro, I don't want to listen to that nigga again. I hope he doesn't pop up.
Need better internet? Cox Internet has the fast, reliable...
Hello? Pleasure?
Pleasure. So knowing that there are side effects that do come along with the COVID vaccine, which is irrefutable, it's a risk management. And in any circumstance, if there's a risk, there must be a choice at all times. Would you agree with that?
Well, there's always a choice.
Well, there wasn't a choice September 9, 2021, when Biden instituted the OSHA mandate with all federal employees and every business over 100 employees. Would you agree with that?
I mean, you can quit. That's a choice. I mean, it's a choice. It's not a good one.
I still think it was a choice.
So,
it's a tough choice. If you really believe that the virus is not good for you, you could quit your job, find another job, and not have to take the virus. Or the vaccine, I mean. Right? It's a choice. Nigga, you believed that your job was more important. So you were like, okay, I'll take this vaccine that will probably not do much to me. Right? Because if you thought the vaccine was going to kill you, then you would for sure quit your job because your job wouldn't be more important than your life, right? Or am I wrong?
When you say it wasn't a choice for all the service members that were part of the military that refused the vaccine, they were dishonorably discharged.
Actually, dishonorably discharged, isn't that like very bad, huh?
Did they have a choice?
They had a choice.
And what was their
yeah, they did though.
choice?
I'm not saying whether or not this is a fair choice or if I support the choice, but it was a choice.
Okay.
Just like with children, in order to go to a public school where by choosing to not vaccinate your child, you're potentially putting other children at risk, you could choose not to put them in a public school and therefore not be mandated to get the vaccines.
Everyone has the ability to make a right choice for them and their family. And if you are able to fully understand with informed consent, there are many, many risk factors, especially knowing that there's no long-term studies, not one.
Sorry, time's up.
I mean, yeah, there's a choice, bro. You could not get it and homeschool your kid, or you could let your kid get it and then they go to school. Bro, I don't get what's so tough about this, bro. There's a choice. Choices are difficult. Sometimes they gotta be difficult because, hey.
Thank you. My next claim is that...
Okay, we're gonna stop right here. Exactly 35 minutes because I feel like it. But, like, I really did not like that dude in that blue sweater, bro. I don't know if they're talking about the same blue sweater dude, but like, bro went up there to talk about trust, but you gotta trust anything. If you want to do anything, you gotta trust something, bro. Like, do you trust your car provider then? Because they gotta get reviewed by other people. Do you trust the people reviewing the car provider? Either way, this is part one. Part two, I don't know if it'll come out tomorrow. It'll come out when I feel like doing it. I'm dead. Like, subscribe, see you guys later. Hope you have a good day and night, and bye, and see y'all.